Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Walter E. and Marilyn Bartlett Television Center here at CCM at the University of Cincinnati. Happy New Year, but it's the same crew as we had for our last show in 2018. Spencer Schultz, Sean McMahon, Zach Fries. I'm Alex Frank. Guys, welcome back. Lots to get to today, and I think it's appropriate because we are, I guess, knee-deep into basketball season. So we'll start with the Bearcats men's basketball team. 3 wins in 6 days. As bad as the ECU loss was, this thing's kind of been erased.
Yeah, they started out pretty well. Obviously, not having that great of competition, but I think since conference play has started, they've been giving up a lot more points because they only give up 61.1 to opponents. I saw, and they've been giving up 70 and sometimes even close to 80 points a game. So I feel like their defense hasn't been there lately, but they've been pulling out games. A good overtime win against Tulsa, a good overtime win against Uconn. So they've been pulling out games lately.
Yeah, they've been struggling a little bit, though, in the last few weeks for sure. I mean, offensively, I think we've been struggling to get points on the board, especially from the three-point line. And we've been struggling to defend the three-point line, especially against, like Tulsa, USF, and UConn. But hopefully they're able to improve. They're not too bad on the inside, but they need to work on getting a hand up for the three-point line on defense.
Yeah, I'd kind of piggybacking off what those guys were saying. I mean, they're 15-3. You'll take a win any way you can get it, but it hasn't been pretty. It hasn't been like the Bearcat basketball slugfest 52-50 games.
Yeah.
They've had to score, and their defense has been bad. They've been terrible against the three. I mean, Tulsa was 9 of 11 from three, but I mean,
In the second half.
the offense stepped in the second half, and the offense stepped up though, and has been better than I think most people could have imagined, even though the defense has struggled. So, it is a little bit refreshing to see them kind of get have games into the 70s, instead of it being 60-50.
Well, I go back to something Mick Cronin said before conference play started was you're going to need to score in these games because at times they can come to a screeching halt, and teams know each other so well in the conference. I mean, Wichita State, who the Bearcats play tomorrow, I mean, they know the Bearcats extremely well. They played them twice last year, even though they're only in their second year in the American Athletic Conference. But the conference overall is only in its 6th season. And, you guys touched on it. They're scoring points, which it is different to see. And as far as defense, I think Mick Cronin has to realize it's a young team, so they're scoring, yes, and I think the defense will come. Maybe actually for one switch to man-to-man instead of play zone. They did that in the last several minutes on Tuesday against USF, and, look what they did. They outscored them, 17-9 down the stretch, and they out-rebounded them 13-1. See what happens when you play man-to-man? Maybe they should continue to do that. We talked about it, Sean, on Wednesday.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't understand really the whole play calling. If you have something that's working, why would you change it? It doesn't really make sense to me. But obviously, unless USF were to change up their schemes like offensively and our defense just wasn't working, then yeah, we would have to change things up. But if it's working, why change it? I just never understood that.
But the zone wasn't working on
Right, that's what I'm
Tuesday night.
saying. They should have stayed man to man because it was working.
Oh yeah,
It was working. So why change it? It didn't make any sense to me. I get players get tired, but you can sub them in and out. But nonetheless, I'd say keep playing man-to-man.
I mean, I think some people are overreacting about defense. I know, like I said before, non-conference play, we were playing schools that weren't have high competition as us. But in conference play, there's no easy games, home or away. Everyone's coming into UC, winning the conference last year. Everyone knows that they're the defending champions, and everyone's out to get them. And when UC goes on the road, it's the same thing. People know that UC's coming into their building, and it's a dogfight every night in and night out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's one of those things with the Tulsa game. You pull it out, you just start the bus and hop on the plane. It's like you take a win any way you can get it when conference play starts. And I think me and Spencer were talking about it earlier, just like how this year with the American being deeper, the top isn't as good as it was last year. But there are no more cakewalks. You're not gonna roll the balls out and beat any of these teams by 30 like you did against Tulane so I think it's gonna be a grind. Like these last couple of these last couple of months are a grind from here on out. the defense has to improve, or otherwise, I think like Mick said after the UConn game, that UConn's going to expect to blow us out on their home floor.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think playing at Wichita State this weekend is a good test.
Oh yeah.
I
We're
know
gonna find out a lot
UC
about
played
this
at
game.
Mississippi State, which I know you're traveling more to Wichita, but it's your first real traveling conference road game, and it's going to be a good test. And I know Wichita State hasn't had the season that they would like, and they have a ton of new guys that have all been kind of just thrown in together. But like I said before, it's a dogfight, and it's going to be a good test for UC.
And Wichita State got a big win over UCF on Wednesday night. And UCF was the only undefeated team in conference play in the American remaining. Now Cincinnati is tied with Houston and Temple for first place. All those teams 4-1, UCF 3-1. But I think, Spencer, the Bearcats are ready for this test tomorrow because of what happened in East Carolina. They found out that, yes, every game is going to be tough. The Bearcats are the defending champions, like you said. Every team is going to give them their best shot. We've seen it with Tulsa and UConn, even South Florida, who's much improved this year. The Bearcats beat them, I think, by 24 last year. So, because of what they went through at East Carolina and Tulsa, I think they're going to be ready for this test tomorrow at Wichita State.
I think the loss at ECU was a one-hit wonder. I think UC really beat themselves. I mean, they didn't even make a three-pointer in the first half, shot 0 of 10
It's
from
just been in
three.
general the last 3 games, I think.
Yeah, they've just been struggling to shoot the ball, and I know it was a road game, but I think it's a one-time thing. It could obviously happen again, but I think they'll be more prepared this time. They know their past couple games they haven't been playing as great as they have wanted to, and I think Mick's going to have them pretty prepared for this game, because if they were to lose this game, I think they might find themselves in a little bit of a hole.
And to add on to the ECU game, UC was up
9-0.
9-0 at one point. They had a great start. They were super sound and everything. They were getting good passes, good steals, and then after that, they just started playing bad. I don't know what it was, but they lost whatever rhythm they had to start the game.
I think it was arrogance. And Mick said it after the game, they were arrogant, something along the lines of that. He talked about arrogance after the game, and they found it out the hard way. Then they go into Tulsa, and, Zach, you mentioned it. You can, however you can get a win. Well, okay, they were down 6.
Thank you, Kane Broom.
Yes,
exactly.
And let's talk about Kane Broom for a minute, because Sean brought it up. I said last year many times in articles I wrote for the News Record covering the Bearcats that Kane Broom is, I either said spark or catalyst. I think I said Kane Broom is a spark, because last year he'd come off the bench, he would hit a big shot, he'd get a steal, and he even dunked in one game against UConn, which that was incredible to see. But every time he would get going offensively, I felt like the rest of the team, Jacob Evans, Gary Clark, Kyle Washington, Justin Jennifer, whoever it was, Jaron Cumberland, they would all get going as well. The team would rally around Kane Broom being the catalyst off the bench. You saw it in the Tulsa game. The reason why they went to overtime was because of him. I still think Kane Broom hit a 3 at the end of regulation. Doesn't matter, because they still won. But I'm just saying, he can hit big shots.
Yeah, and not only him, but it's mostly him and Jaron. I think when Jaron gets going, it seems like most of the time it's just him, and then occasionally Nasir and some of the other guys. But when it's Kane Broom, it seems to be the whole offense kind of follows behind him, and they all start playing well.
I think the key for Kane Broom was the UC really didn't have a choice in that. Kane Broom had to play because Justin Jennifer was sick. They had other, guys were reeling, battling the stomach bug. They need more of that Kane Broom whenever, coming off the bench and being a spark. It's just been too inconsistent this year. He's really struggled, I think, shooting from 3. I think he's 18% right now, which, some of that's, he's had bad luck, but it's, he's got to become more consistent from 3. We saw the Tulsa game and how he can take over, and we saw it, hit Sacred Heart. Granted, it's a different level of competition, but I think there's still some more consistency to hope for. Because he's not a great defender. So
no, but 16 points in the second half of that Tulsa game, including the Bearcats' final 14 and 7 in the last minute. Come on now. He had a critical 3, and then he almost hit another 3. It was kind of an ill-advised 3.
Yeah, I think the first shot he took was a bad shot.
Yeah, that was definitely not.
I
a
don't
good
think he
shot.
should have
The
taken
one he
that.
missed or the one he made?
The one he missed.
Oh, no,
originally.
no. They should have tried to go inside of like Trey
Yeah.
Scott or something.
I
whoever
think it was
was
just
in.
early in the shot
They
clock.
brought it straight down the court, and they
Yeah,
just went
and he
straight
just-
for
yeah,
three. There
and
was no
that-
like hesitation.
Granted, the game clock was winding down, but still. Two things. One is the Uconn win. I think is a really good win because we talked about the starters battling the flu, and they gave up 11 threes to Uconn in that game, and every time the Bearcats went up, I think the second half deficits Uconn faced was 7, 8, 11 early in the second half. I thought the Bearcats were gonna maybe pull away, but I'm like, Uconn doesn't quit.
I think UC won that game just off of free throws. They shot 38 free
Yeah,
throws
for
that game.
real, free throws.
I mean, they made 25, which you could say they could have shot better, but I mean, still 25 of 38. That's a lot of free throws.
Considering they missed a lot in the early going, they really
Yeah.
stepped up
Yeah.
down the stretch, especially Jaron Cumberland in overtime going 5 of 5, including those 3 big ones early in the overtime period.
And recently, Cumberland's gotten to the line a lot more.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
other night against USF when he had his career high, he shot 14 of 16, I think, from the line, something like that. So I feel like the team's kind of starting to get more comfortable with the free throw line, come in the clutch, hit the free throws when you need to, and I mean, it just comes down to fundamentals. Honestly, with games like that, you make your free throws, you're going to win the game.
I kind of think we do need to get to the free throw line more
Yeah.
personally, like not just rely on us shooting threes and getting inside feeds. I think we do need to drive the ball to the basket and try to get to the free throw line.
Yeah, and Mick had said it after the USF win that people were fouling Cumberland, and sometimes it's getting called and sometimes it's not. You're not going to get every call, obviously, but Cumberland's kind of learning how to draw that contact, go up when someone has a hand on him, and draw that and get to the line.
They have to know, though, that, like you said, they're not going to get calls on the road. And the UConn game, Spencer, you mentioned it on free throws. How about the defense when it mattered most? I mean, they held UConn, I think, in the second half, scoreless from about 4.5 minutes down to about the 1.5 minute mark. So you can say, oh, well, I mean, they gave up a lot of threes. Okay, yeah, they did. But the defense, when it needed to be at its best, and it's what we've known the Bearcats as for so many years, and through the first half of this year, the defense was amazing. I mean, we saw them in the crosstown shootout. That defense was suffocatingly good. Yeah. And they made stops when they had to, in the UConn game. But also this, they had some mental lapses in that game, not inbounding the ball to Jaron Cumberland at the end of that game, whatever that was. And then Justin Jennifer misses 2 shots at the line.
Yeah,
okay.
Mick Cronin mentioned that in his post.
Oh, yeah, I was there. I walked in on it.
Yeah.
I feel like some of it's experience as well. I know Cumberland's a junior, and Keith Williams has a few years under his belt, but there's not as many seniors like last year, and there's not as many well-developed players as last year, which you can't just keep bringing up last year, but it just, the more games they play and the more situations they get themselves into, years down the road, players will know how to get themselves out of it.
That's why I think this team is actually really good, because they've been in situations already and they've won. I mean, yeah, they lost at East Carolina, but sometimes you got to have a loss to learn from. And in the UConn game, let's not forget that game tipped off less than 48 hours after an overtime win all the way out in Tulsa with 3 starters battling the flu. I mean, those guys were exhausted probably. That's why there might have been some mental lapses. But the fact they beat a good UConn team, which if Dan Hurley's not the most entertaining coach to watch besides Mick Cronin in the AAC, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. Those of you fans out there, Dan Hurley's fun to watch on the sidelines. Heck, he got ejected on Wednesday night at Tulsa.
Even despite the traveling with Tulsa, I mean, UC still had 4 players in double figures against UConn, and Cumberland had 22, I believe. So you can check that. I think he had 22. But
Yes.
Yeah. So they have perseverance, and like I said before, you got to be ready to play every conference game that there is.
And just gonna say this: Trey Scott lost 11 pounds in this 6-day span.
Yeah, that's crazy.
11
Really?
pounds.
Yeah. He said that
Yeah.
at his conference after USF.
Those guys were exhausted. I mean, it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, it does.
These conference games, I mean, Jaron Cumberland said they're a war.
I can
Okay.
attest, road games aren't that fun. Like going on road games for football. I mean, granted, I didn't fly like the players do, but like they are exhausting. They really, really are. So to play 2 games in less than 48 hours is not easy for anybody to do.
And that's why I think these 3 wins are so important, and that's why I view this team differently than I did after the East Carolina game. Now tomorrow, we'll hit on this real quick. Wichita State. I mean, the last time the Bearcats went into that building, there was a lot on the line. A regular season championship in the American Athletic Conference. Wichita State wins that game. They share the regular season, but they would get the number 1 seed. The Bearcats, though, win by 1 point and win it outright. And Spencer, you said it. Every team is giving the Bearcats their best shot or its best shot.
Yeah, and this year's definitely going to be a lot different, obviously, with Wichita State's overhaul and UC having their new go-to guys. It's going to be different, but the competition is still going to be there. It's still going to be a great game to watch, and it's at a good time, Saturday afternoon. A lot of people will probably be around watching it, so.
It's a CBS game, too, so it's on CBS. I mean, you got Ian Eagle and Jim Spanarkel calling the game.
What time is that game at?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, okay. Yeah, no, I'll definitely be watching it. Hopefully they don't stress me out like they have been the last few games. I mean,
get used to it.
Yeah, for real.
I just don't want to watch them beat themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really don't.
I think that's been our biggest problem is we've been kicking ourselves in the foot. Honestly, I don't think it's been necessarily been the other teams. Like, I think it's more or less just been an inner problem between our team. I don't know.
Do you think that's why they lost to Ohio State and Mississippi State, or did they just play better teams and did not play well enough to win?
I think it was a mix. I think it was a mix of both. The Ohio State game, you can talk about some distractions before the game. The first game in the arena. I think that game more than anything is just like they couldn't hit a shot to save their lives.
They were 6 for 26 on the
right.
three.
If they played Ohio State now,
it would have been a different.
They would win. They'd win
because they're more used to each other. They've kind of figured out more of a chemistry between themselves.
Especially with Ohio State struggling.
I think Mississippi State, they just ran into a pretty hot shooting team.
That's a really good team.
Yeah, I think Mississippi State on the road, they're just a better team. They're just better than UC this year.
And they wanted some revenge from what Cincinnati did last year. I mean, Lamar Peters went 0 for 7 from three-point range when they played here, or rather down at NKU last year, but still, they wanted some revenge.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, especially when you're playing at, like, what do they call it, the hump, right?
Yep.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, like, it's a pretty tough environment, so... Yeah, it's pretty loud.
And they're a good basketball team.
They're a good basketball team too. Yeah, I think that was really it. Is they were just a better team, personally.
And they hadn't played in a week. They were coming off of the Crosstown shootout win. Yeah. They played as well as they could. Mississippi State just hit shots. And there's nothing.
I wasn't disappointed about that loss. It was a quality loss. I mean, if anybody let's lose to quality teams, not like ECU. That was frustrating.
That was a bad one.
And then they blew out UCLA the next game.
Yeah, that was nice. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, everything was dropping. I mean, they were hitting everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, going into the Mississippi State game, not that I didn't expect them to win, but it was like that first game where you're like, okay, well, maybe they might take a loss on this game here and then they'll come back, which they have, obviously. But it's just one of those games where you're not as confident going in as you are other games. So,
right.
But you have to be. And here's the thing with tomorrow's game. Wichita State only saw what UC had last year because that was their first year in the conference.
Yep.
So it's not like, they're expecting something totally different because they only faced them one time. I mean, yeah, they won't have Gary Clark or Kyle Washington or Jacob Evans to deal with, but they will have to deal with Jaron Cumberland. They will have to deal with Kane Broome. They're going to have to deal with Justin Jennifer. They're going to have to deal with Nazir Brooks, yeah. If he can stay out of foul trouble.
That too. And
Trayvon Scott. So you're going to be dealing with a lot of new guys, but at the same time, you're going to be dealing with other guys that gain expanded roles. So there is, I think, because of the turnovers for both teams, it's going to be new. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they barely know each other as opponents. Last year was the first time in the conference play they played each other.
Yeah, and I think one thing, talking about tomorrow is, Wichita, a lot of overhaul, new faces for them. But one thing I think that you can guarantee is that they're going to be pretty well coached. Greg Marshall's a really good coach. He's been there for a while. And even though, they don't have, the guys they had last year, you lose Morris and you lose Reeves and Shamet and those guys. They're still going to be well coached. You're still going on the road. And in a league where I think, there's this very small bottom. I think it's just Tulane is, the bottom, and everybody else is like the middle. Wichita, they start 0-3, but they took Temple to overtime, and they beat UCF. It's like it's definitely gonna be a dogfight. I'm definitely interested to see how this goes, and especially with how most of the game, how 4 of the 5 conference games have pretty much been nail biters or kind of. you've been uneasy about going down the stretch in all of them.
Wally Serbiak brought up a great point after the Wichita State UCF game Wednesday night on CBS Sports Network. He said that they're still getting 10,000 fans into that arena.
That's impressive.
Yes, I think it's unbelievable. And he said it's because of what they have done before. Now, are they going to be good this year? No. They're in a rebuilding year. He admitted that.
Yeah.
But it's still the fact that you're getting 10,000 fans, and especially this game. I mean, they know what Cincinnati did to them last year on the road. That place was rocking last year.
They'll want revenge for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially playing at home.
Oh, yeah.
Mick said in his press conference before practice yesterday, I mean, out there they only have Wichita State as their go-to team as like fans. Like Cincinnati has the Reds, the Bengals, where you have other teams that you could be a fan of. But out there in Kansas, there's not much out there, and I don't know. It's just, and then you said how good they were, and they had that undefeated regular season back in, what was it, 2012,
2014,
2013, yeah, somewhere around there. So, like you said, like would they have 10,000 fans keep showing up? They're loyal, and the loyalty's there, and that's all they really need.
No question. So, let's go to, and I know that it happened about 3 weeks ago, but I know, Sean, you were there in Annapolis. I'm sure the two of you watched it.
Sure did.
The Military Bowl. What a game, by the way. Really a fantastic game, back and forth. The conditions, made
Very
for
concerning
miserable.
game.
I'm sure it
I'll
was.
tell you that much. It was miserable.
You were outside for the whole game, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. I was out there. It was a lot of fun.
I'm sure it was. Much like the Miami-Ohio game.
That was a lot of fun, too.
But at least it was warmer then.
It was also warmer, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Annapolis was like kind of miserable, but
Yeah.
it was enjoyable for like what was on the field. Like I'm kind of glad the game went the way it did because it was nail biting, it was exciting. It felt like a real quality win over a good Virginia Tech team. It's not like if we had just like blown them out, it would have been like, oh, we just blown them out in the Military Bowl. It's like we got a really hard fought quality win over a Virginia Tech team. And it was back and forth, and it kept you on your seat.
Is Virginia Tech, Sean, in your opinion, or were they this year better than their 6-6 record may have indicated? Based on what you saw.
I would say no, just because I mean they in the ACC wasn't that good this year in football. Like they had Clemson, maybe NC State, Boston College just a little bit, but I would say no. I think their record was pretty what's the word I'm looking for, indicative of what their season was really like, and the kind of team that they were. Nonetheless, I mean, a good team, a good opponent for us to beat. Another Power 5 team that we beat too.
They fell off in the Old Dominion game.
The ODU game was definitely their turning point for this.
Because they started out really well. They got that big win at Florida State.
And Florida State's not that good.
No,
either,
no.
They were terrible.
Yeah, but I think beating Virginia Tech and having faced them several times before in a bowl game, we remember the Orange Bowl back in 2008, and they've played recently.
2012 regular season at Washington.
Yeah, with the touchdown pass late, 40 yards. That was incredible. I think just getting a win in an area where there were a lot of Virginia Tech fans.
A lot of Virginia Tech fans.
It's definitely closer to their house.
There was at least like 10,000 plus Virginia Tech fans there. I mean, there were a lot of them.
Yeah. So just beating Virginia Tech, obviously it's not Frank Beamer. I mean, but Justin Fuente, I think, is a great coach. I mean, his first year, they're in the ACC championship game. Like, they have good football, and they played really well in the Military Bowl. They just did not make plays when they needed to, and the Bearcats did. I thought that game had everything.
I agree with Sean here about if they're not their record with I don't think they were good as their record would say, because I know it's a bowl game, so I mean everyone's gonna show up for a bowl game, and obviously
everyone.
Well, I mean
in that game,
what game you're in, and it means a lot to them, and obviously it means a lot to UC, and it was closer to their house, so they're gonna have more fans than UC. But I feel like if it was played, let's say in like Chicago or something, and it was closer with like UC, I feel like it'd be the same thing, but Virginia Tech would have probably played a lot worse.
Most likely. Or if you would have played it in Indianapolis, anywhere in the Midwest is what you're saying.
Lucas Oil
Yeah,
Stadium.
just like across,
Detroit.
more west, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously I'm going to give Virginia Tech a lot of credit. They played a good game. UC played a good game. They're a great program.
It's the familiarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
How about just like I thought it was fitting how the game ends with just big game James Wiggins making another play.
Yes, the
Is that
freak.
his third on the year?
Yeah, it's
Third game clinching interception.
OU,
What a guy.
SMU for the win, and then that one. It's just like James Wiggins when the lights came on.
He is a freak.
The freak.
The freak makes plays, and just like how he was suspended for the first half and is
That
able
was
to,
frustrating.
able to make the play to win the game.
He
Our
made an
defense-
impact.
Our
Yeah.
defense struggled for sure. I mean, that again, we played a pretty good Virginia Tech team, but like obviously not a great Virginia Tech team. But our defense that game was really struggling.
UC still forced turnovers.
Oh yeah,
like one or two. But
yeah, especially on that 4th and 1 when Virginia Tech was trying to get the first down to get first and goal, and then
That
we
was a
stopped
big.
them.
That was a big play.
Brian Wright came up with the or no, who stripped him? It was Clements stripped him, and then Brian Wright came up with the
Yeah,
with the
Wright
fumble.
was involved on the play. That was a real turning point of that game
That was
because
huge.
that was after Hayden Moore threw an interception,
Yep.
and you're thinking Virginia Tech might pull away, and you're thinking, oh gosh, here we go, and then
I was right there.
Yeah.
I
you mentioned
felt
Hayden
so-
Moore. I got to give a lot of credit.
Oh
to
my
Hayden.
Yes.
god! Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
yes.
I really do.
Yeah, it'd be remiss without
Gets
acknowledging
Ritter
him.
comes in for him against UCLA to start the season, and he just comes in and he has the experience and he knows, and he came in for his school and got the job done.
And having gone to a lot of Luke Fickell's weekly press conferences on Tuesdays throughout the season, he kept saying, oh, Hayden Moore is going to be used at some time this season. It'd be like, okay, just keep saying that, whatever. We all know Desmond Ritter is going to be the quarterback. He's better than Hayden Moore.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, whatever. Sean, you want to say what you called weeks before the military
I
bowl?
did call Hayden Moore leading us to a victory. I know that
Still can't
sounds.
believe
I know
that.
that sounds like really fake, but I actually did. You can ask the guys that I work with. I actually called Hayden Moore leading us to a military bowl victory.
And it's not like Hayden Moore is a downright terrible quarterback.
No,
I
he's
mean,
a good backup.
Yes.
He's a good backup for sure.
do you remember his first game? He came in for Gunnar Kiel. He threw
Sure.
for almost 600 yards on
That whole
ESPN.
season for him was a really lucky season that he had. I'm not gonna lie. Like we played Miami, Florida that year too, and he was phenomenal against them. We played Miami,
Yes.
Florida in Nippert.
Was
Which,
that-
I mean,
was that
the
2015?
program's changed
May have
since
been
then,
a year
obviously.
That too, yeah.
But
That's true.
Program's changed.
In 20,
but
go ahead.
no, you can go. You're good.
I was going to say in 2016 that, when you're coached by Tommy Tuberville,
Sure.
and
Yeah,
we don't,
Told you about it.
yeah, well, whatever. And Zach Taylor, potentially be the next head coach of the Bengals. Everyone's, talking about how bad that 2016 Bearcats team was. Okay, well, that was because Tuberville didn't give Zach Taylor much to work with. I mean, when you don't recruit Cincinnati players who are very good, by the way, Luke Fickell's realized that, and look what that's
The
turned
city
into.
loves local product too. That's another thing. They like the people of Cincinnati love seeing local kids play for their local
Oh, yeah.
university. It's huge.
I don't doubt that. I
You
mean,
get way more people to show up to games.
yeah, like Garrett Campbell, I mean, personally was one of my favorite players on this team because him being a local product, 6th-year senior, having gone through
6
all what he
years,
did,
yeah.
having gone through an injury.
Recruited by Butch Jones, played for Tommy Tuberville.
yeah, and that's what I was about to say. He's
Yeah.
gone through a ton playing for
Yeah,
UC.
but with Hayden Moore, I mean, it's just every story about that game, I think, has to relate to what Hayden Moore did. And I said to myself, if he wins this game, that's what every story is going to be about, is how, in his last game, Hayden Moore led the Bearcats to victory. And Desmond Ritter is still going to be around next year, and probably the year after that, maybe even the next year after that one.
And you can hate on Hayden Moore all you want for like the 2 bad seasons we had, but I mean, you gotta admit he played a really cool, it was a cool way for him to end his career at UC,
Yeah,
and you gotta
for
give
sure.
him, you gotta give him a round of applause.
He was never a terrible quarterback, and yes, he got replaced by Ritter. Ritter's immensely talented, but even in games where the Bearcats won by like 40 or 50 points, when Moore came in, he made some good throws.
yeah.
Yeah,
of
he
course.
did. Yeah,
I mean, him and Ritter have a similar style. As Moore can scramble, Ritter can scramble, and you saw it in the military bowl. I think he had 64 or something like that rush yards
And a
too,
touchdown.
and he had a touchdown with that. So it's not like they're just changing their offense completely, switching quarterbacks. I mean, they can still do the same. They might not be able to make the same throws, or Ritter might be quicker than Moore, but it's not a complete change of scenario, or like it's a scenario that completely can change the game.
Yeah, and Hayden was a good mentor to Desmond from the sideline. Like even if he wasn't on the field, Hayden was still like a good, backup, a good advisor,
mentor, yeah.
mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was there for Desmond Ritter. He supported him. I think that was another thing that was different about this team was like there was a greater team mentality.
The
You know,
brotherhood.
the brotherhood definitely like was stronger this year. It was like I've got your back kind of thing, and I think that's what ultimately led to such a great season for us.
Yeah, and Luke Fickell wears it. I mean, team together, everyone achieves more. I think that was epitomized in the Military Bowl. But one player we haven't mentioned yet, how about Michael Warren?
Yeah.
What
The
a stud.
truck.
That
A
dude
stud.
he never misses a beat. And all the time off, and he's still himself, and he's still going to go out there and be a train against defenses and just beat them down.
And the fact that he took a big hit in the third quarter and came back in the game.
yeah,
Offensive MVP as well.
Right.
Oh, no doubt.
He deserved that.
yeah.
He absolutely deserved that. It was either him or Hayden Moore, but I definitely give it to Michael Warren.
That running back room's immensely talented. I mean,
Oh,
you talk-
you got
Tavion
you got
Thomas.
Garrett Dokes coming back. You got Tavion Thomas.
Charles
you got Michael
McClellan.
Warren, Charles McClellan.
Yeah, it's wild.
I'd even put maybe Boost in that category.
It's wild.
You can
got-
go four
five
or
buckets,
five
yeah.
deep. I mean, it's unbelievable. And
It is.
Warren's going to be back next year.
Of course.
Warren will be back. Garrett's gonna be back next. They're all gonna be back. Every single one of them.
And
So,
and
one
you know,
gets hurt, you just put in another. It's not
Yeah.
that hard.
it's funny because everyone was concerned about Garrett Dokes being hurt, and then Michael Warren goes in the UCLA game and has 3 touchdowns and over 100 yards, and he did it the same thing, not 100, but 2 touchdowns in the Victory Bell game. It's like, okay, this guy is going to be really good. I mean,
Season record for UC.
yeah, he should have been a Heisman candidate, let alone a finalist for.
Well, hang on.
Let alone.
Heisman.
Daryl Henderson was pretty
Darrell
good. He's
Henderson.
from
How was
Memphis.
he not a finalist for? What's the award?
Well, he was a finalist for something, wasn't he?
Naismith Award?
In the-
Doak Walker?
I don't remember.
Doak Walker, that's what it is. In the college football awards, he wasn't even a finalist for the Doak Walker award. I mean, name me 5 running backs better than Michael Warren. You can maybe do it, but you certainly
I don't
can't.
know college
You
football.
certainly can't do 10. No, I'm not.
more in
I
depth.
know more NFL than college, but I'm just saying. I ask all you college football experts to name me 5 or 10 running backs better than Michael Warren, or not experts. Go ahead.
There's only a few,
ETN.
finalists.
Who's
ETN.
Bama? Who was Bama's running back again?
Harris.
Damian Harris.
Damian
yeah.
Harris,
I don't know.
Travis Etienne,
Uh,
Justin.
Daryl Henderson.
Darrell Henderson
Yes,
was
from
pretty
Memphis.
good.
I can even put Dexter Williams from Notre Dame.
Okay.
I could maybe.
So you're naming
squeeze
all
him-
5 of them.
I could maybe
Just
squeeze
about.
him in there.
Okay, but
not
but
saying
notice how we're saying maybe, not like yeah, him, sure.
There's one key guy we're missing. I swear, there's like
Yeah,
one.
man,
key
I'm sure
person
there's
we're
a few.
missing.
I'm
Moral of the
forgetting.
story is Michael
Kid from
Warren
Florida
is good.
Atlantic.
He's a truck.
Oh yeah.
He's-
Michael
As I
Warren's
said,
really
he
good.
is a truck, and
Settle
it's so
that. Yeah,
fitting
Michael
how
Warren's
the
a
Military
beast.
Bowl had Warren, Moore, and Wiggins. And those 3 guys, I mean, Wiggins made one play. Well,
He's
that
only
one
a
play.
sophomore.
I mean, there's not many running backs that
Yeah.
are as consistent as Warren is running the ball.
He's very consistent.
Like he makes contacts and that dude just keeps running.
yeah.
And he's been consistent. He's had multiple games where he's had 2 rushing touchdowns. Or
Did he ever not have a touchdown in the game, or did he score a touchdown?
I think he
The-
might have scored a touchdown in every
I'm
game.
pretty sure
this season.
every game he's.
I don't think he scored. I don't think he scored one in the UCF game. Now then again, he did get hurt, and then East Carolina he didn't play, which I think was smart.
Tavion Thomas did
Most
score
of the
one.
games he scored.
Yeah, I think-
and there's been some games he scored
Oh,
2
of
or
course.
he's even scored 3 once, didn't he? I
He
think
scored 4 against USF.
USF was
Yeah,
that
he
it?
scored
Yeah.
4,
So he's been consistent finding the end zone, and maybe that's just Fickle giving him the ball when they're in the red zone. But
which is what we should do.
you still have to get
Oh, yeah.
still have to get in the end zone.
7 games with multiple touchdowns, and I'm seeing 2 with 3.
There you go.
Yeah.
Enough said. 19 touchdowns this
4.
season, over 1,300 yards rushing on 244 carries.
What was it? So what was his total touchdown count then? Like 21 or something?
Well,
'Cause
they
he has
have
the
they,
record.
they have all what is it? 12 games that he played. So
It's
it's
20 on here, I think, right?
Is it just 20? Because when did he break the record? Was it when he hit
19.
18?
I want to
It's
say that would have
17
been
or 18.
It was either 17 or 18 when he actually officially
Yeah,
broke the record.
it was
It was
either
18.
It was
It
either
was
the,
18.
was
Okay,
it-
that's
I
what I
read a
thought.
story, I think, on it.
So I
it
think
was
he,
either that
so
or the
he has
military
like 20
bowl.
or 21.
yeah.
He should around
Yeah.
there.
Well, it says 19 total from all the games plus
one
the
And
bowl
he was
game.
leading the
One
FBS for
receiver.
like 3 or 4 weeks. Or no, he was like second in FBS for like most rushing touchdowns.
to
It's like the through one,
the
one through
the
three.
running back at FAU.
Yeah,
Kevin
whatever his
Singletary.
name was,
Yeah.
he was.
What's his name?
Singletary.
Singletary.
Yeah.
The lane train.
He's good.
It's a good football name.
I was hoping that FAU would actually make the top 25, but the lane train just fell off the tracks. And anyway,
Well. Interestingly enough, there. So I mean, what this season does, it came completely
it's a
unexpected.
springboard. For
What did you
for
all
sure.
think? 6-6, 7-5, maybe
Yeah.
8-4.
at most.
I would think more of around 8-4. I think they obviously were better. They were going to be better than last year
because of the recruiting that Luke Fickle did.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I had no idea. I couldn't have. If you would have told me preseason we would have won 11 games total, I would have been pretty shocked.
Yeah.
But like, because
I agree with
the
that.
guys I work with, even like some of the seniors were like, we're just hoping for a 6-6 season and blah blah blah. But like, even before like the season started, I kind of knew we would be a better team than 6-6. But like, I didn't know we'd be an 11-2. And that's really impressive. And that's like what our most wins since 2009. First win season.
I mean, going in, I expected at least a bowl game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
which you
We
mean at least
knew-
6-6 is bowl eligible, but
Heck, we were bowl eligible by the time that our bye week came around.
yeah.
Did you expect to start 6-0?
No.
no, not at all.
No way.
I think it was okay. You won't win at UCLA.
That Temple
I had
game, that
confidence
Temple
we could
loss
win.
was just crushing
Temple
to
was
me.
hard, yeah.
You did. You actually picked them
I
to
did
win
pick
that
them to
game.
win UCLA,
You did.
Yeah, as a lone
which
person.
whatever. I should have known better. Anyway, so it was like, okay, maybe not win at UCLA. Beat Miami, Ohio. Beat Alabama, A&M.
Miami's a given.
Steal a win against Ohio. Steal a win against, Navy, somebody else. I think we figured they weren't going to beat teams like UCF. But did you honestly think, okay, we were going to be on College game day
No,
and have a
definitely
prime
not.
time game and
Yeah,
actually be in that game for a while?
no. If you would have asked anybody like a year, 2, 3, 4, 10 years ago that we would be on College game day, they'd think you were crazy.
And the score may tell you, okay, they lost by 25. I didn't feel like they lost by 25 at all. I feel like they just didn't make plays when they had to, and UCF is so quick to take advantage of.
They were breaking our corners' ankles on the pass game. I'm just saying.
Oh, gosh.
We couldn't stop the deep pass and we couldn't get the run going. I don't think. And then also they were getting pressure on us. Desmond Renner was just nonstop under pressure, and they got to him almost every time.
Maybe that's why they ran the. I thought they ran the ball and went so conservative so much in that game.
Yeah.
Maybe
Running game
because of
wasn't
the
bad.
no.
I mean, Tavion Thomas was really good. He had that one long run and then he had the touchdown, but like it was too little, too late at that point.
Yeah.
So
Well, and then also the 2 missed field goals plus the extra point. Like you have to score any time you get a chance to, even on extra point.
Of course.
I mean, they started off really well, and obviously they lost their swagger throughout the game. But I agree with they were in it, and I think there's a point in time during the game, maybe the later the third quarter, early fourth, where you know if you're going to come back or not, or you'll be able to come back. And sometimes there's miracles that happen, but
there was never that feeling.
Yeah, there was never that feeling, and just it's at UCF, and it's just it's
loud
hard.
crowd,
Oh, yeah.
let me tell you, they were loud when I was down there.
You said it was like a bounce house.
It actually moves. You can actually like hit one of the support beams and it'll shake. So imagine
Oh my gosh.
imagine 45,000 people all jumping at the same time.
The bounce house.
The bounce house, man. It's
Jeez.
crazy. It's ridiculous.
Well,
It's actually scary.
yeah.
There's no way they're not going to do a major reconstruction on that thing in at least like the next 2 years.
And the late Tom Gresham, God bless his soul. I mean, he tweeted that was the last Bearcats football game he covered, and he tweeted a video of the press box shaking. I'm like, holy
It's
cow!
it's pretty scary. Yeah, I won't lie.
I almost went to that game, but I would have had to spend some serious money on that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And the 17-hour drive is
Yeah.
exhausting.
Some bit of news. Cortez Broughton, the senior defensive tackle from last year's team, is going to play in the 94th annual East-West Shrine Game tomorrow, actually. 3 o'clock on NFL Network from Tropicana Field down in St. Petersburg, Florida. So big honor for Cortez Broughton. What a stud he was on that defensive line. Night and day defense this year compared to 2017.
Oh yeah, for real, absolutely. I mean, I think there was a point differential, like who improved the most in terms of, I think it was point differential, and like Cincinnati was number 1 in FBS. Like it was an absolute turnaround, and it was, it's incredible.
And it's good for Cortez Broughton because I think last year he struggled. Had a good sophomore year. Last year I think definitely was a struggle, and now this year to be as dominant as he was, 17.5 tackles for loss, I think. And to get him back on the radar for the NFL is huge for him, and such a great front four we had. And he was in the middle of it all.
Wasn't just him. It was Kamani Fitz.
Marquise Copeland.
It was
Marquise Copeland, Michael Pitts.
I mean, just the whole defense.
Yeah.
Kobe,
pretty much.
Kobe
pretty much from the
Bryant,
line.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jarrell White, James Wiggins,
Brian Wright.
Brian Wright. Sorry, yeah. What did I say?
Perry Young.
Perry Young. Well, yeah, and
Before
then
he got hurt.
injured,
Okay.
against
Jeffries,
Navy.
yeah.
Navy,
Yeah.
they literally. I mean, if you watch the replay, it's a Navy guy literally goes at his legs. Like it should have been a penalty, but it wasn't. But Perry Young.
I didn't even see it because I was in the press box.
Well, I saw the foot. I've seen the footage of it.
You've seen it?
I've seen the footage. Yeah, I mean his leg gets so messed up in that, and he was at the bowl game. He was he obviously wasn't playing, but he was there. He was with the team and he was playing, or he wasn't playing, but he was just there and he was supporting the team. And it was really cool to see.
Thing is, and I want to hit on the Navy game for a minute. Look at how many games this year were so much different than last year. Look at the individual games itself.
Destroyed by Navy last year. Destroy Navy this year.
I don't want to say destroyed, but they got toasted in the running game.
Yeah.
Oh, and then this year we limit them to what, 120 something?
Yeah.
And we shut them out.
Shutout. Yeah, that was their first shutout since I don't remember actually now. I forget when their last shutout was, but it's been a while since they've been shut out.
Navy.
Yeah.
I want to say.
I think it was like 2014 or 2012 or something like that.
It had been several years, but that game, the South Florida game, which we lost 33-3 in 2017. Okay, you win 35-23 this year. The East Carolina game. Remember how bad that game was last year? Oh gosh,
struggle.
First of all, East Carolina had a different quarterback, and I'm thinking of somebody different.
Not to mention our coaches are really good this year too.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Yes,
that helps.
Very
It's
good.
Luke Fickell not only rubbing off on the players, but the coaching staff itself. Like you're seeing intensity from Marcus Freeman and Mike Denbrock.
Yeah, Denbrock and even Coach Stripling, defensive line coach, Stripling,
and the quarterbacks coach, Gino Gadula. Yeah. When do you think Luke Fickell's officially going to? We'll go till the 45-minute mark here. When is Luke Fickell going to seriously be considered for a major head coaching job? Because apparently this is not a destination job, even though I think it is.
I think he's already kind of been considered.
Well,
he was considered for West Virginia. I don't know how much of a major job West Virginia is. It's it's in the Big 12, but you have a hard time explaining to me how it's.
I would say a few years at least. I mean, let him turn around. He turned around UC's program, obviously, but let him get his guys recruited. I mean, he can't just go through 1 year and just leave. But he can. But I would say 2 to 3 years. Let him have a few years to really kind of settle down, have some success, and then if other schools think he's prepared for it, then I just don't want him to jump to a better program and then not have the success that he would have at UC. And he might regret.
Yeah.
Cough, Brian Kelly.
He might regret leaving UC. That's the only thing I would say about it.
No, and especially in something else, Spencer. I mean, he's got 6 kids.
I get
He has a family.
The move from Columbus to Cincinnati, okay, not too big of a deal, no. But to move to West Virginia,
yeah, it's a big difference.
No.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah, he's got kids enrolled in high school around here, and they're just getting settled. So it's not only just like a him thing; it's a family thing too.
Yeah. Sure.
It's not like you have only 1 or 2. You have 6.
He's got 6.
Now maybe his family could say, we all want you to take this job, and we would like to move, but it's just right now. I think we're just kind of jumping the ship a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
And after 14 years, what was it, from 2002 to 2016 at Ohio State? I mean, he played at Ohio State for 4 years. I mean, he's an Ohio guy. I mean, he spent so much time at Ohio State. So after just 2 years Cincinnati moving on, it didn't make sense to me.
It wouldn't make sense at all. No.
But it makes sense that he's being looked at.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, when you turn a program from, 4 wins to 11 in a season and a borderline, not a Power 5 conference, but, Power 6, you're gonna get looks. I think that's what West Virginia.
Power 6.
I think that's what West Virginia was looking at before they hired Neil Brown. But I think if UC has another 9-10 win season next year, I think more calls will be coming. If he takes it, who knows? But
it's consistency that matters. Can he do 11 wins again next year? I think they're going to be really good next year.
That'll be really tough to get back to 11 wins.
That will be. They get a tough schedule.
Super hard. Yeah, Ohio State, UCLA.
Ohio State's going to be a great one.
Ohio State's going to be hard.
No matter how good or
it's going to be hard because you're playing on the road.
You're playing on the road in Columbus, yeah.
But, they gave Ohio State a competitive game 5 years ago, excuse me. All right, real quick, Super Bowl picks with the conference championship games this week. Spencer, I'll start with you.
I like the Rams in a close one. I think they'll pull it out. And I'm not going against New England. I just can't.
Good.
I know Mahomes is going to be the MVP most likely, but he's still young. He's still got a ton of years left. I just can't go against a veteran and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick.
I've got to root against New England because I don't like them one bit. Excuse me.
You're
I don't like
good.
them. I just don't want them to go back to the Super Bowl. I'm just tired of it being the same team every year, so I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I'm going to go with Pat Mahomes. And then for the NFC, I could see it going either way, but I've got to go with the Rams.
I'm going with what Spencer said. I don't trust New Orleans right now with Sheldon Rankins being hurt, the defensive tackle not playing this Sunday. Keith Kirkwood also questionable with a calf injury, had a touchdown last week on 4th and goal that turned the game around. The Saints, I've said it all season, they're the best team in my opinion in the NFL. I don't see that now. The Rams have more talent. I think the Rams, having lost already to New Orleans, is going to play into their favor. I like the Rams in a close one against the Saints. I'll go 31-28. Patriots Chiefs. I swore after the Patriots came back to beat the Falcons in the Super Bowl 2 years ago that I would never, ever pick against Tom Brady and the Patriots. I'm going to stick to that. I am going with the Patriots 38-35. Rams Patriots in the Super Bowl, a rematch from the Super Bowl in 2001 that kickstarted New England's dynasty. Zach?
I'm taking the Saints. I know everyone else has said the Rams.
Okay.
I'm taking the
I
Saints.
can see it going either way.
At home.
Could.
At home, I like the Saints defense, how they played, how they responded after the slow start against Philly, and Drew Brees. I'll take him over Goff, and they haven't lost in the Sean Payton Drew Brees era. I don't believe in the playoffs at home,
they've
so
not.
that's a factor as well for me. Like you guys, Spencer and Alex have hit on, it's hard to pick against Belichick and Brady. I don't care where the game is. I don't care the temperature. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care what
And
It doesn't
gonna be
matter.
more
I'm
about
taking
it.
Brady.
I'm tired of them, so I had to pick against them.
I'm taking Brady and Belichick. Although I do the Chiefs for the next couple years, for years to come, are in a great spot with Mahomes. But I just think this year, I don't know, Brady and Belichick.
I like to add Talib's back for the Rams, and that definitely changes their defense.
Sure,
I know sometimes their defense don't play that well on the road, but with Talib back, I know I took the start of the year. I took the Saints to win the Super Bowl, but obviously things change, and I think the Rams will come out on top.
Also, with Talib being back, Cooper Kupp played in the game against New Orleans in the regular season, had 5 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. Is not playing this Sunday because he tore his ACL the next week.
Yeah.
Something to keep in mind. And then just to end with the news that surfaced Wednesday of Marty Brennaman announcing his retirement after this season. It's an icon hanging out the mic in Cincinnati, and someone who I personally have come to grow accustomed to having around in the Cincinnati sports culture. It's going to be different without him.
Yeah, it's, you hate to see icons like that go, especially when you get so familiar with them and you've known them all your life. But, he's been doing it for such a long time. It was destined to happen pretty soon. So I think he had a really good run. So, but it'll be sad to see him go.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely has a voice that's never going to die. It's never going to go away, and it's going to be lived on forever. And he means a lot to this city, and everyone knows it. And it'll be weird to listen to games with a different voice, but all things come to an end, as everyone would say. But
I think you also knew it was coming because there was news about it last year, or wasn't last year? It's recently there's been news about it.
Yeah, it's like a soundtrack of summer that's kind of gonna have to gonna go by the wayside. Marty Brennaman's a legend, It's just like it's a part of your childhood, and through my early adult life that you grow so accustomed to hearing him on the radio and him and Cowboy, or but yeah, he's definitely gonna be missed. He's a broadcast legend, and this one belongs to the Reds, obviously an iconic phrase. So. Yeah, it'll be weird in 2020 without Marty.
Yeah, well, and we were kind of rounding third and heading for home on with these last few things we talked about. So, big game tomorrow, Bearcats in Wichita State. We'll be back maybe next week, if not, definitely the week after that. Bearcats got 2 games next week, plus the women's has some games they've been playing. Snapped a 2-game losing streak on Wednesday, and
sure did.
Yeah, they looked really good against Temple, but. Thanks for tuning in alongside Spencer Schultz, Sean McMahon, and Zach Fries. I'm Alex Frank. Thank you, and go Bearcats.